Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to talk to you about the books that I never get to talk about on my channel. There are just, wrap-ups, books that I've read ages ago before I was a booktuber, and also with tags, I feel like the questions lend to sometimes featuring the same type of books. So I just wanted to make a video where I got to talk to you about some of the books that I love or really enjoyed, and I just never really talk about them on my channel. So I've got a top 10 here to show you. I could do more videos like this because I actually was looking through my shelves and I was like, oh, there's so many to feature. So if you enjoy this video, let me know in the comment section down below if you want more videos on books that I love but just never really get the chance to feature on my channel. So let's get started with some childhood favourites, and for this I want to mention Roald Dahl. He is a doll. Like, I absolutely love his books. I think him and Dr. Seuss are some of my favourite children's authors. I think he was a genius. When I was younger, I basically went through and read all of his books. The one that I'm showing you here, like the lighting is really bad, but it's the BFG, which I absolutely adored. And actually Roald Dahl is really special to me because when I was younger I wasn't that keen on reading Dutch. I was a child who was a big reader and I was very quick when I was reading in English. So when I tried to switch to Dutch, it really slowed me down and I tried not to read books in Dutch. But I have De GVR, which is the BFG in Dutch, and I also have De Giezels and some other Dutch Roald Dahl books. So I feel like this is one book that shows that I am quite Dutch sometimes because I read Roald Dahl in Dutch. That's how much I loved his works. It was good enough for me to try it in another language, even though I read the English versions first. He is so creative, he is so funny, and if you don't let your children read Roald Dahl, I don't know what y'all doing, because he's brilliant. And then I also need to mention Judy Blume, who was basically the author of my preteen age. The one I want to show you the most is Deanie, but I also read Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, and also Blubber. So all of these books were quite important to me for different reasons. First of all, Deanie is a character who has scoliosis, I believe, and it was the first time I was learning anything about scoliosis. I absolutely fell for that book when I was younger, and I joined a writing website where I was a member for several years. So people there know me as Deanie with a different spelling. So if you're watching this and you used to be with me on YWS, you know who I am. And then Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret is basically this groundbreaking novel that has been banned in so many places because it came out like a long time ago, and it's about, this girl who's going through puberty, and it talks about masturbation and some other things that people weren't too happy that Judy Blume was writing about. I remember sitting down with my sister and we were just chanting, we must increase our bust because of this book, and I thought it would work. Last but not least, Blubber, which was my first fat girl character, and I just found the dynamic in this book and what it said about bullying to be so interesting as a child, and just all of these kind of just blew my mind when I was younger and I was learning about girl things, growing up things for the first time. Then I want to talk about The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. What's up with the lighting? Okay, I'll put the books on this side because it's a little bit better. So The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt is a book that I absolutely adore, and it's being made into a movie as of when I'm filming this. I just cannot. So this one follows Theo. He is this young child who is in a terrorist attack in a museum, and it blows up the museum, and while he's there he's kind of really drawn to this painting, which is the painting of the goldfinch. So he kind of escapes out of the building and he just takes the painting with him, and then when it's reported stolen, he's just like, man, I can't return the painting. So he just doesn't, he just keeps it. So he's got this small painting which is a stolen masterpiece, and it's just him growing up in the wake of what's happened to him and just the choices he makes in life. It's so character driven that I think if you're not a character driven reader, you're going to find this one so boring. But Theo, he just makes so many bad decisions one after the other, and I just loved learning about him, seeing his story, the characters he came across. It intrigued me from beginning to end. I chose to write a huge essay on this in IB, and it was just fun for me. I just love this book so much. Then I need to mention Just Listen by Sarah Dessen, which is a young adult contemporary, and what was surprising to me about this book was the fact that I read two other Sarah Dessen books before this one. I believe they were Lock and Key and Along for the Ride, and I hated them. I really hated them, but I have a policy of giving authors at least 3 chances, so this was her third strike or she would be out, and I rated it 5 stars. She completely blew me away, and I understand why everyone loves Sarah Dessen. I think she's the middle child in a group of sisters. One of them has an eating disorder. She is a model and she's not sure if she enjoys modeling, and she just meets Oscar, who is this guy who has anger issues, and with him she starts to learn and discover about listening to people, and as Jade from Jaded Reader puts it, active listening. This book kind of took me on a journey. There's so many reveals, and I hardcore was relating to the main character all the way through this one because of the fact that she is the middle child, and a lot of the feelings she was feeling about being a middle child were ones that I could relate to. I'm not the only middle child, as I'm the third in 4. There's another middle child with me, but yeah, I definitely related to this one and it kind of just blew my mind. And it's one of the few books I cried in. I don't really cry when I read. I think I can count on one hand how many books I've cried in. But at some point this one just drew tears from my eyes, and they weren't even at the sad bits, guys. It was at the happy bits. Then I want to mention The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, which is a book that I read because of the hype, and I got it secondhand. It's a alien invasion novel where these aliens kind of take over the world, and they do so in waves. And there is one girl who is with her younger brother. Her younger brother gets taken from her and she's going to rescue her younger brother. That's basically the premise of this one, and I saw this one around book blogs when I got it, and I decided to read it, and I really did enjoy it, but the way it ends lends up to there being another 2 books. However, reviews for those 2 books were really bad, and people say the first one is the only good one, so I decided that I was only going to read the first one, and this is why this is on the list, because it's quite a novelty to me at that time in the past to say I wasn't going to continue a series if I liked the beginning just based on other people's reviews. I tend to be very completionist. I tend to want to complete every series that I start, even if I start to dislike it. So it's quite revelational that I did that, and that's why this one is like a symbol for me in some ways. Then we have Smash and Grab by Amy Christine Parker. This was one of the first arcs that was sent to me in physical copy for my book blog when I was living in the Netherlands, and I actually really did enjoy this one. So it follows these 2 characters. It's a heist story, by the way. We've got Lexi and Christian. Lexi is a girl who loves a good adrenaline rush, so she does things that will just give her a huge rush. Father is arrested for a crime that he did not commit. Lexi has no problem with wanting to break into the bank to steal the evidence needed to clear his name. And then there's Christian, who is from the other side of town. I believe he's Latinx. He's kind of built in with some gang members and things like that, and he kind of ends up getting paired with Lexi in some ways for this heist situation. It was so fun. I really enjoyed the characters. It's not like a heavy read or anything too serious, but it was light-hearted, it was quick, it was fun, and it just took me on a nice ride. So I really did enjoy Smash and Grab. Then I want to talk about some more adult books. So we're going to talk about The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's about this guy who's kind of just goes on this quest to find alchemy, which is something that shouldn't really exist or be possible. And along this journey, so you're basically just going on a journey with him through a desert and through different areas. Along this journey, he kind of just learns a lot of life lessons. Some people love this book and think it's really deep and emotional and makes you really think about life. I've also heard the other side of the story where they just kind of call this cheap philosophy and nothing else. But when I read it, I loved it. I just feel like it told me so many stories and I learned so much wisdom from it. So I love it. My friend kind of has the cheap philosophy idea, so we just laugh about this book all the time. Then I want to mention The Help by Catherine Stockett, which is one of my favourite books of all time. I've been told it's quite problematic as it's got the white saviour trope. I can't remember enough to think or remember if I feel like it was the white saviour trope when I read it, but when I read it I enjoyed it, so I'm just going to go with that judgment. So we're following different people. There's Aibileen, who is kind of raising a white child in the house because she's a help. We've got Minnie, who is serving under someone who's really mean to her, and we've also got Mosquito, who comes home from college and she wants to know why her beloved maid has suddenly disappeared. It basically just follows these characters in a time of segregation, in a time of racism, and the movie adaptation to this one, which I'm sure quite a few of you have seen with Emma Stone in it, is absolutely amazing. It's actually one of the best. I would say it's my top book to film adaptation because they did this book so much justice. This book is emotional, this book is very deep, and it makes you really think about history and also the current racist problems that we face. Then I want to talk about Animal Farm by George Orwell, which I read back in class. It's one of the school reads that I really loved, and I feel like I learned a lot from it. This is a satirical allegory story, and it follows these animals who live on a farm, and they decide that they don't want to obey the farmers anymore, and they kind of host a rebellion. At the same time, it's quite a satire of what was happening with the Russian Revolution, and you can definitely see the parallels when you read and study this one. I think it was written in such a genius way. It gets its message across, it gets its themes across. You could read it as like a children's story, but you could read it with all the political background to it as well. Basically, to write like this, you have to be a genius, and as we already know, George Orwell was a genius, so I just have to applaud this book so much. And last but not least, I want to mention The Lonely Londoners by Sam Selvin, and as you can see from all those post-it notes, this is the one I read for uni. I read this in my first year of uni. It was actually one of the first books that I read, and it's just following these Londoners. They're actually from the West Indies. Not all of them are Jamaicans who came across to move to the UK in the past, but you just get West Indian characters who have moved to London in history to kind of be in the motherland, to make a life for themselves. But when they arrive, they're lonely, they miss their home country, but at the same time they're just trying to adjust to London, get jobs, be happy, fall in love, things like that. It's basically just following these characters' lives, and this one really vibed with me. It's written in patois, so it's kind of written in the Jamaican language, which is just English with an accent, but it's patois, okay guys? And yeah, it vibed with me because this is kind of the story that a lot of my ancestors have faced, like my grandparents' generation, as both sets of my grandparents moved to England from Jamaica. And yeah, I just really felt personal ties to this one, as it was a story that relates to my history, but also just to see these people struggling in this immigration and the backlash they get from Londoners who are like, get out of the country. That sounds like Brexit in the modern day, and it's also something that lots of immigrants are facing around the world. So it really struck with me, and I felt like this was such a good classic to read for all of the cultural reasons. Studying it was such a blast. And there you have it. Those are 10 books that are on my shelves that I don't get to talk about much. I tried to include some middle grade, some young adult, and some adult. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comment section, what is one of your favourite books that you just don't talk about on your channel much or with friends much? And yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!